Hey, my name is Inga, if you and I are meeting for the first time, and I want to share today a testimony. My purpose, my mission is to share with the world what the Lord has done in my life to bring Him glory, and also to inspire others, inspire faith, inspire to persevere and to be unstoppable. And yesterday, while I was praying, suddenly a thought came to me, a memory of one testimony that I experienced. I think it was 2016. And I believe the Lord wants me to share it with others, to strengthen faith, to encourage somebody. So if you are in financial struggle, or if you are concerned about how you're going to make it, that you need finances or you need something for you to survive, for you to accomplish something, or just simply to live, and you are concerned about it, here is that testimony for you. Just a very short background. I'm from Lithuania, and I came to the United States after my car accident, where I lost both of my legs and my left arm was paralyzed in a car accident. And 3 years after the crash, I traveled to the United States. And then a year later, the Lord, when I came back to Lithuania, a year later, the Lord inspired me through His Word to return to California to establish my life here. And so I am here since then, since 2005. My family is in Europe, and I am alone here. I don't have relatives in America. I was by myself, lived alone, and I worked at the Disability Services and Legal Center. I had a public relations position there for 13 years or so. And then I began writing a book, which required a lot of time. It required a lot of focus and time to be alone. And so I began writing it. It was 2016, I believe, or 2015, when my program director at work told me that they lost the funding for the PR position, and they had to cut down my hours from 4 days to 3 days. And my first reaction was, well, it's okay. I will just go find another job, or somehow I will make it. Like, I did not get concerned. Only after I came back home and settled down, and I began putting numbers together, how much I had to pay the rent and all other expenses. It was not fun, I would say. I was wondering, how am I going to make it? What should I do? And so when I went to pray, and as I was praying and sharing with the Lord, I said, Father, I don't know how I'm going to make it. This is really difficult. It's going to make it difficult. And in the prayer, I had this inner voice within me. It was very, very clear. And the words I felt, heard, it was a very interesting experience. It was my will for those hours to be cut for you, so you have more time to do my will. Will you trust me? And first, I had peace because I knew the Lord was speaking to me, and I just knew that I will trust you, Lord. You have carried me over the years, and you provided, and I will trust you. That was my first reaction. And so after the prayer, I had peace, and I knew I will be fine. And of course, I had to cut down some of my expenses, like going to the restaurant or buy whatever I felt like I wanted to buy. I had to cut down quite a bit, because that one day really cut a good chunk of money from my paycheck. But I was okay. I was fine. There was not even once that I would not have money for the rent or for the food or for whatever I needed. The Lord provided. It was amazing to experience that. And then a year goes by, and that was, I think it was 2016, when my rent went up over $100. Oh, and that made it even more difficult. And I saw that it's really going to be challenging. How am I going to make it? My rent is probably already around that time. It was $1,500 just the rent in Sonoma County. It's one of the most expensive counties in California. What do I do? And so, as a go-getter, that's my personality, I was right away into the thinking, okay, what do I do? Maybe this is the opportunity for me to leave DSLC and go to find another job, do something about my career and whatever. And so I went online without even praying. I went online, uploaded my resume online in several companies, and I think I was already I think I had lined up already the opportunity for the interview. And I don't even remember which company, but I remember like AT&T was one of the companies that I applied for. And so I was already about to go look for another job. Meanwhile, I knew that I had to put a lot of work writing the book. I needed to put that time. But still, I need money. Something has to be done. I don't have relatives who would give me money. And so at some point I went to pray again, and it was really challenging, and it was kind of scary because if I don't pay rent, they move me out and I am without home. And so I began praying, and I was sharing with the Father how it was not easy. It was a struggle. And in the prayer, I had this feeling thought. So for so many years, I have carried you. I have provided everything that you needed and wanted. I have taken care of you all these years. Why don't you trust me now that I will take care of you now? And that moment, I tell you honestly, I felt even embarrassment, shame that I did not trust the Lord. The Lord, you made so many wonderful things in my life. You really have provided, and you sent me people who were wonderful and who helped me when I needed help. Like, Lord, you provided every time. Why don't I trust you now? And so I said, Lord, I'm sorry that I ran into this anxiety and concern by my own mind, by my own thinking. And I said, Father, I will trust you. I will trust you. And I had peace in my prayer, and so I finished the prayer. And then as the new month was coming up, and I don't remember whether I had enough money in the bank account for the rent or not. I don't remember, but what I do remember, I had this feeling like, okay, Lord, how am I going to make it? Like, how am I going to make it? And one day, I just had this thought, go check your mailbox. And so I went to check my mailbox, and among all other papers, advertisements, I see the envelope. And I open the envelope, and I cannot believe my own eyes. I see the check for $500 from a friend in San Francisco. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Lord, I nearly teared up right next to that mailbox. And so I called my friend, and I said, why? Like, what is that? Like, why are you sending me money? And he was like, well, I don't know. I just had this inspiration to send you $500. So that's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. That's my gift. Be blessed. And I was, it was such an amazing experience. And that was like, I had the feeling as the Father, looks at me with a smile and says, see, that's how I take care of you. Don't worry and don't be afraid. You are in my hands. And since then, I just decided I will no longer put myself in that position with the anxiety and fear and concern. I will trust my Father. The Lord just showed it to me how He will provide, and I don't know how am I going to make it. But if He says that He needed me to have more time off work so I can do His will, then I will trust Him and He will provide. And you know, the amazing thing now that when I look back, there was not even one time that I would not have money for the rent. There was not even one time that I would not have what to eat or to have clothes or whatever I needed. I had enough. And the interesting thing is that that year, somehow, I cannot even explain it to you, but somehow I had more than enough. More than enough. And that year I've traveled to other states to minister, to share my testimony, to inspire people, empower them. And I had a wonderful year. And since then, even the Lord blessed me through other people that I was even on vacations where I could not even dream of to be, you know, like white sand beaches and turquoise water and everything. That was always my dream, and I could not even imagine that I would ever see that, but the Lord provided and He arranged it. And I understand that He is showing to me, showering me with His love, and He's saying, see, I take care of you. Just trust me. Just trust me. And the lesson that I take from that testimony, and I want to pass it on to you, that's not the circumstance itself that creates the fear and anxiety and concern. It's our perspective, how we view that situation, and what meaning we give. Like, what does that mean to me? So at the time when I was not really watching my own mind, when I saw that I have less money and rent is raising, my auto reaction was, how am I going to make it? I don't have enough. What am I going to do? And automatically from those thoughts, those feelings of concern, of fear, they are rising up and they just can strangle you. After that testimony, I said to myself, you know what? My perspective will be changed. And now I will look at this is difficult situation. I don't like it, doesn't make me comfortable. However, instead of fear and anxiety, I look at the situation as an opportunity to see how Father takes care of me. See, so it's a whole different picture. When I don't have enough and I don't know how I'm going to make it, this is going to be a wonderful opportunity, Lord, to watch how you are providing. You say that you are Jehovah Jireh, you are the provider, so I will watch that. This is a perfect opportunity for me to see how you provide. And so that instantly changes the way I feel about the situation. And then watch what I was thinking. You know, instead of focusing that there's not enough and I don't know how I'm going to make it, say that the Lord will provide. As soon as those thoughts come, what I'm going to do, it's scary, I turn away, I shut down those thoughts. And yes, we can control our thoughts. We do. We just think that we can, but really we can. Immediately, after I noticed that my mind is already going into the fear, into concern, I shut it down and I changed my look where I look. I say to myself, the Lord will provide. He promised that He will provide. He will provide. And according to our faith, it is done, right? And so never even once I was in need that I would not have what I needed, really. And this is a big, big testimony that since then the Lord improved my life tremendously. tremendously. He brought wonderful people into my life who are like my family, and I love them, I adore them, and they are blessed by the Lord. It becomes a wonderful journey when you choose not to be afraid, but you choose to trust the Lord. To trust the Lord and hold that peace. Keep that peace that the Lord gives you in the prayer. So here's my testimony, and I hope that it will strengthen you, it will encourage you, and just keep the faith, keep trusting the Lord no matter what, and the Lord is faithful. He is faithful even if we are not faithful. He is. God bless you, and I will see you next time.